Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. My name is Gene Marks and welcome to Ahead in the Cloud. We are a podcast for small business owners and managers that want to stay current on technology. Now listen, this podcast is brought to you by the AWS Connected Community. It's a free online community that's built by AWS, but it's powered by its members, where you can get free expert advice, training, and peer-to-peer interaction to help you with all your technology questions. So you can find the AWS Connected Community at aws-experience.com. My guest today is John Hammond. John is a cybersecurity researcher at Huntress Labs. First of all, John, thank you so much for joining.
Hey, thanks so much, Gene. Great to be here with you.
All right, John. So our audience, like I told you before we started recording, are small and mid-sized business owners. A lot of us are running our businesses. We are busy running our businesses, and doing our thing. And we don't know anything about, IT security and all the threats that are out there. I do think that people are getting a little bit smarter about recognizing potential issues. I think you start to recognize those sort of emails that look a little bit suspicious, or being a little bit more careful about downloading that file that you might have done automatically before. So I think we're making progress there. But man, the deep fake technology, I wrote recently, I wrote this in Entrepreneur, and I also wrote in Forbes. It was like a bank, in the Middle East that got deep faked out of like more than $30 million.
Oh, wow. Goodness.
Yeah, some financial manager got a call from what, he thought it was his boss, but it was a deep faked voice of his boss instructing him to transfer money, out of one account into another account, which was, an account that the hacker had access to. And, nowadays, John, right, you got to admit, I mean, look at us. You and I are like, we're talking on this podcast. There's videos of us, as well. I mean, ultimately, technology can take this and, edit it together and make it look pretty real. And I am wondering, what you're telling your clients about deep fake technology and what people can do to protect themselves against it, now, and prepare for its advances in the future.
Another really good question.
I need your answer, like 10 words or less. Okay.
Okay. Right? 10 words or less.
Hey, yeah, I'm kidding. Obviously,
I know I'm verbose. I ramble a bit. So
no. It's just that you can't answer that question in less than 10 words. But so give it all to me. Like, what do you think? I'm a client of yours, and and I'm like, I am kind of concerned about this deep fake stuff, John. What should I be doing? What tools are out there, and how can I protect myself against this pending thing that's happening?
Well, hey, I'll take your challenge and run with it. I'll try to do 3 words or less. But folks, we hear trust but verify.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's the best that you can do. Again, is like, look, you're probably going to get that outreach from some means, whether it's a text message, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an email. But if it is spoofing and masquerading as another person, like your boss or a coworker, or video, trust but verify, maybe not even trust. Okay, we get a little bit of that doubt and concern in our minds, but let me go check with a communication channel that I normally use. Like, you might have their phone number, really, or Slack or email. Like, let's put a pause on this immediate action that they've tried to strike some urgency for us to do, and let's go make sure with their method of getting to the source. Hey, I got some weird email that Best Buy and Geek Squad says I need to update my antivirus. Well, okay, let's go see if that's the real Geek Squad and Best Buy. I'm going to call them with the number that I know, rather than their outreach to me.
It's excellent advice. And listen, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm a CPA, so accounting is my background. And the deepfake stuff, some clients have asked me about it as well. And John, that's exactly the answer I gave about trusting and verifying. And you have to have internal controls. I mean, if somebody is asking you to transfer $35 million, well, first of all, if you have $35 million, good for you. But if somebody's asking you to transfer $35 million to some other account and you think it might be somebody else, well, there has to be a level of internal controls where maybe it needs 2 people to, verify and sign off on it. And maybe you should be calling the person back and getting that, or getting something in writing from that person. So you've got documentation behind doing that. You don't just say like, oh, okay, boss, I'll transfer that money right away. So maybe the deepfake technology is, it's out there, but the opportunity that we have is to improve our internal controls around that. And some of it might be old school controls. It doesn't necessarily have to be a technology answer,
Mm. Here's a fun road to go down, and I don't know what we might come from this, but I know we were maybe leading into, we'll chat a little bit about training, because
Yes.
I have that silly YouTube channel that is doing okay for itself. Hey, that's got maybe 500,000 subscribers and having a lot of
That
fun to
sounds
grow
pretty
there.
good.
But
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, man, I really need to scale this thing. And the only bottleneck is me sitting down in front of a camera and doing the show, live show and tell, demos and all. But like, what if I could spoof my voice with AI, whatever, technology, deep fake my video? Well, I could mass produce more education and content. I almost kind of want to deep fake myself in a weird, whatever, I don't know, content creator perspective to help things grow. But yeah, we've had that lingering question of those more nefarious purposes that could
Dude,
come
I
from that.
I love that idea. I think that is a great idea. I mean, I'm assuming you've got hundreds of hours of videos that are out there. So
Undoubtedly. Yeah.
yeah, so when the AI tools become inexpensive enough, and maybe you hire, an AI developer, let them go and like deep fake the what out of it. And you're right. I mean, you can create all sorts of different content based on your original content. You can just lay back on some beach chair in the Bahamas and just generate the videos every single day and getting
Rest on
views
my
off it.
laurels and start a new life of cybercrime. I don't know.
I, I first of all, I love not the cybercrime idea, of course,
Cheesing, I'm
but
cheesing.
I do love the idea of using AI to do that. You bring up AI as well. I mean, is there to me, AI has so many opportunities around it. But again, AI is also going to create some challenges for a lot of businesses, particularly when it comes to security. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Hmm. The hot topic, right, is chat GPT and some of the others. And I
Yeah.
don't think there's any issue name dropping, right? But
No, that's fine.
we when we get the questions of, hey, what is it going to do to security for, I don't know, whatever hackers or script kiddies that can use chat GPT to write ransomware or to compromise whatever CI/CD pipeline to get into the cloud ecosystem and infrastructure, whatever. Sorry, I don't, not meaning to be doom and gloom and FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, but I don't think it will. I think, sure, it might enable those bottom of the barrel folks that just, hey, can crank out some code with ChatGPT. But for a
Sure.
lot of the high flying, flashy stuff like the 0 days that make headlines and shake up the world and the industry across the landscape, that takes novel thought and
Sure.
creativity, things that by definition of a 0 day, it's what no one has seen before, what the world has no idea about. The AI can't do that because it's not trained and programmed off a model because that model doesn't exist.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Interesting. Again, more thoughts and food for thought.
It's an interesting take. It really is. And you know what? I mean, this podcast is all about opportunities as well. And I also view that whatever potential threats that AI might provide, I think there's 100 entrepreneurs then that can respond to that specific threat by building their own AI-based security software or tools to confront that threat, and turn it into an opportunity for themselves and their clients. So, it's a battle that will never end. But I feel fully confident in the free market to defend us against any of those threats as well. And I think if AI is a tool that's available for us, people are going to take advantage of it in a good way. Let me shift a little bit, John, as well. Again, our audience are business people, small business owners. As you know, since COVID, there has been a huge trend towards working from home. There's a lot of remote workers. There's a lot of people that's connecting into their cloud providers. Whoever is whoever that is. And so I thought maybe if you were talking to a business owner and they had some people working from home or working from remote areas and they were connecting into their data wherever that is, what security advice would you be giving those business owners that they can then to make sure the remote workers are operating in as secure environment as possible?
Yeah. And I'm going to come back at you with the most boring and mundane.
You have not been boring so far, so I challenge you to bore me. Go ahead.
No, it it boils down to the same cheesy access controls, like least privilege, need to know, layered, etc. Um, but how you actually do that, I know I can just like toss those words out there, but that doesn't help much. The best thing that I can offer is like, hey, read the documentation for
Mm,
the tools that you use. We're a remote company. I work at a remote company. I'm hey fortunate to just be kicking into my office here, but like that we're using Slack, we're using Zoom, we're firing up Google Sheets, Google Workspace. Hey, we're working together in some AWS workspaces to get into virtual machines and do the tech that we do. But all that happens because we've got folks that have configured this to work the best way that it can.
sure.
And we've read through what settings and toggles and switches and policies we can set so that there aren't any mishaps. Or maybe if they are, that's okay, right? Everyone has that oops every now and again. But it's constrained and it's restricted. And we've done that defense in depth the best that we can because we tried. I don't know if that's the answer you're looking
It
for
makes a
there,
lot of
but
sense. No. It makes a lot of sense. And I think it's important for business owners to get involved in making sure that their processes and policies are intact. They have to work with their software providers, their cloud service providers as well, to make sure that their employees are following the right policies. Curiously, on a device level, I mean, honestly, John, I go to some of my clients. They're working from home. They're working on their Windows 98 computer, that they're
the
sharing with
Wild
their
West,
seventh
yeah.
grader. I know. So how important is making sure your device is secure? How about not ignoring when Microsoft or Apple or whoever tells you that it's time to update your operating system? Kind of important to do, isn't it?
Yes. And I know, oh, the whole bring your own device and BYOD is another can of worms to dig into. And I'm understanding that maybe that's not realistic or even giving everyone their own individual laptop and shipping off their own computer and machine to work with maybe just isn't a reality in some cases. The best that you can do to combat that and understanding, well, we've got some risk here and there is take inventory, like know the asset list and application of who's on what, who's using what software, what version, what operating system, what etc. And with that, if you foster sort of a culture and community of like, hey, look at this silly, stupid phishing email that we got. Let's all kind of poke and make fun of it and laugh at what a feeble attempt. Or just like, hey, just a quick second. It looks like your Mac is out of date. Would you mind just going through and clicking the update here? That doesn't have to be a nag. That doesn't have to be a badger. That just can be like, hey, just checking in. I want to make sure that you've been able to roll up to the latest release for security's sake. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Makes complete sense. And who would do that for a business? Again, I know this podcast is sponsored by AWS and their connected community, but there's AWS and as a legion of partners, IT firms around the country. Those are the people that usually small businesses work with, correct?
Totally.
Yeah. And what, in your experience, what are those firms? What can they do for a small business?
Sometimes you might just, hey, get an email. Hey, we're seeing some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Go through these steps in this procedure and policy. If you have maybe some folks even internal to try to, hey, get on a quick spot job to task and go see what folks are doing to do that outward messaging. That's an ideal state, but I know in some cases, hey, there's a one-man shop for IT security and infrastructure. That's tough to do. But I'm not sure if I'm getting exactly where you're leading for AWS or any of the other folks
Oh,
externally.
it's just, I guess the IT firms themselves are the ones that, they're sort of like on the front line with their clients, and you can rely on them and good firms will have the right tools in place that they're using from their cloud providers or themselves to make sure that they are monitoring their clients, right? So in case anything, there's a lot of automation that's out there. They can be warned if they see anything that looks weird. You and I talked earlier, and I promised I wanted to get back to it. It's all about training,
Yeah.
So, talk a little bit about whenever I read these studies about companies that do get hacked, They always say the number one reason is that people it's a human error, you know, and the only the best way to avoid that human error is to get training. So, talk to me a little bit about that.
Ooh, okay. Oh man, blank canvas you're giving me here. That's a lot of leash to run with.
Go for it.
Training is paramount, and I know it's what we absolutely want and are craving and need and dig into. And sometimes there isn't time, sometimes there isn't money or resources or whatever to help allow that to happen. Whatever maybe you can do, just sort of fishing zones, and I don't mean fishing with a ph, but literally like throwing a line and reel fishing. You move around these different pockets of people that might be able to go take training. Well, hey, we got the other folks holding down the fort, making sure the business operations are still running smoothly, and you rotate through with like fishing zones. When something gets underpopulated, well, okay, let's give it time to grow and swap in and out. Training itself, though, I know, yeah, there are a whole lot of things out there that have quite a pretty price tag on it. Takes a little bit of coin to maybe expend some budget for all that training. I'm a huge proponent of like, hey, let's just do free education. Let's get the info out there. That's why I've got a silly YouTube channel. But there are a whole lot of other spots that are trying to make a lot of the traditional, and I'll put that in big air quotes, training models a little bit of an easier, more accessible way. Because when we're thinking about, yeah, whatever latest compromise or hack or whatever hits the news, they dive into this phase of incident response. But the only way to really role play and test for that is either you try to simulate a scenario or it happens. Hey, something hits the fan and we all got to go into fire drill. So they do this tabletop exercise, and I'm sure everyone has heard of that, but I know tabletop exercises can be a little bit boring and dry, and they just don't work sometimes.
Right. Right.
So, hey, there's a fun little game out there, literal like card game with a little bit of hey, Yahtzee in the mix, a little bit of Clue. There's this thing called Backdoors and Breaches, and it's hey, you getting your team together, like you, your business, your engineers, your techs, your CISO, I don't know, anyone in the mix, to sit down and have a simulated scenario, and you get to play a game of what will we do next? What are the steps that we can take? And there's a little bit of randomness to it because you can never tell what's going to go down when something really hits the fan. But I think having those conversations ahead of time is the most important thing you can do. Being prepared is invaluable.
You know, there are tools out there as well that can also help businesses simulate these issues. True, yeah, right. I mean, like they're without naming like specific names because you can certainly Google them, but there's software platforms that you can sign up for that will send you fake emails that are like those phishing emails that you mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean, or potential scams, just to test employees. Right? Do you have experience with those?
Yes, yeah, we do that just as well over at Huntress, and it's fascinating to see what is the hook that someone might fall for. What are the things that hey folks know to look out for? Whether it's the strange email address that's not where it says it should be, the silly grammar mistakes, things that we're trained now to not like fall for.
Sure.
But if you get enough of a guise and a little bit of a ploy where we say, hey, here are changes to our new work from home policy, someone's going to click on that.
Right. Right.
Hey, we need you to update your payment information for direct deposit. So if you could please log into our HR portal, someone's going to click on that.
Yes. Right. Yeah, that makes complete sense. That really does, John. Yeah, I just so I could sum this conversation up, and then I'll let you go because you've been just fantastic. I mean, some of the takeaways I'm getting from you is that for a small or mid-sized business to really be aware of technology, number one is security. Is that they have to be aware of security. That it's an issue that's not going to go away, and it's definitely part of their business. Getting access to the data is not just a simple password anymore. There's a process. There's passwords and there's there's multi-factor authentication, and there's biometrics involved for to really secure your data, the right way. Making sure that you inventory devices that your people are using, particularly the remote employees, and making sure you involve maybe an IT firm that can be involved in supporting and monitoring those devices to make sure everything is updated and upgraded to all the levels that they should be. And training is absolutely critical, for your employees. And there's various ways to go about doing it. You could do little simulation exercises like you mentioned, or use some of the software applications that are out there. These are all things that you're doing and that you're advising to your clients. Is there anything else that I am missing? As we're here in 2023. Obviously, security is a big issue. There's a lot of opportunities to take advantage, to fight against some of these threats and run your business okay. Is there anything else that you wanted to share, or some thoughts before I let you go?
Yeah, and I'll try to be super brief because again, I know I'm verbose,
Great.
but I think as we summed it up, you're spot on, and it's about opportunities. I think, look, 2023, 2024, whatever, we're gonna see a lot of the same stuff on the horizon, on the landscape. We're gonna keep growing it and moving it into different places, but it still boils down to a lot of those basics. And like, I feel bad when when I say that out and about. It's like, oh yeah, passwords, multi-factor authentication, training, etc. But it is the answer. It is the best that we can do. I know it's a boring answer, but it is the right answer. And the opportunity is to go embrace that and learn it and try to get into needs in the mix the best that you can. There's a whole community out here that is desperately trying to get security right, and we want you to have a seat at the table. So.
I love that, and if I can add my 2 cents, is that nobody in the world can provide 100% guaranteed security. We all know that, but the way to go about, I think, having a secure infrastructure is to involve experts, to make sure you're using the right cloud provider, to and to make sure that you are not doing one thing but many things. It's a combination of things, to make sure that you are your data as secure as possible, and that's the best that can be expected to do. I don't know if you found the same thing, but like the people that are out there, the bad guys that are out there that are hacking into data or whatever. I mean, they are looking for low hanging fruit. Right? I mean, unless it's some giant bank or Department of Defense or something where there's some bigger thing at stake. When it comes to small businesses, I don't know, John, if hackers will spend that much time trying to take advantage if it takes them, if they have to go through a lot of hoops to get there, when there's so many other businesses out there that unfortunately aren't doing a good enough job of securing themselves. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Look, yeah, whatever fancy big, I don't know, enterprise, Fortune 1,000, whatever number you want to throw up in there, that a breach, an incident, those bad words, that's going to get some notice. That's going to get some time in the limelight, going to be headlines, are going to be reporters, journalists all over it. But again, I'm sorry, small mid-market business, you get popped. There's no trumpets or fanfare, or no one is really going to see that in the morning news. So the actor can just do it again and again, and whatever hit any other targets. But I'm sorry, I don't know if that's
it's true. No, it's true. It's really true. But again, I guess my point on that is just that if you do take the right steps, you can make it that much harder for that bad actor. And the harder that you make it, the more time that bad actor has to spend, the more likely is they're just going to move on to somebody else, because it's probably easier, So
take it seriously and board up the windows and the doors.
John, how do we reach you? First of all, you've been talking about your YouTube channel, so give us a little pitch for that and where we can find you on YouTube.
Oh, goodness. Well, hey, thank you so much. I have whatever cheesy online persona that is just me and my name. If you're searching for John Hammond on YouTube, you can see that silly little redhead pop up. And I'm on Twitter, again, just _ John Hammond, or LinkedIn, or hey, hit me up on email. You know where to find me through Huntress, but please don't hesitate to reach out. Please consider me a resource and a friend. I would love to hear from you. Thank you.
John Hammond is a cybersecurity researcher at Huntress Labs. John, thank you so much for joining us. That was a great conversation.
Thank you, Gene.
Hey, everyone, just as a reminder, you have been watching Ahead in the Cloud. This is a podcast for small business owners and managers that want to stay current on technology. Thank you so much, because this is brought to you from the AWS Connected Community. The AWS Connected Community is a free online community that's powered by its members, where you can get free expert advice, training, peer-to-peer interaction to help you with all your technology questions. So you can find the AWS Connected Community and sign up at aws-experience.com. My name is G Marks. Thanks for watching and listening. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. We'll be back again soon with another conversation with another great, smart person like John to discuss some other topic on technology that impacts your small business. We'll see you soon.